Alright, round two. Attempt two. So, unfortunately, I hate kickoffs, but I'll do my best to see what we did here. Alright. So I definitely think you could have... So here, you could have had a 50-50 here if you wanted. I can understand not wanting to, because it was kind of an awkward position. But at that point, you have the momentum. You could have picked up that boost. Because when I looked at it, you're just like... You got...
I'm kind of past it.
Yeah. You used some boost. You ended up picking up some boost, but if that was a better pass, you would have been a little bit in trouble anyway. So, like, it's not nothing huge. No huge issues there, but... Now, in this, once Undeniable was past this ball, and he's got control on the sidewall, I would recommend not cheating forward any further than you absolutely have to. He isn't in an amazing position to pass, and you can just try and read the pass, but you can kind of see here, he's got you beat by a mile, and Undeniable's not there. If he is able to get this pass off, you're screwed. So,
Yeah.
the way I like to kind of think and approach this situation is as a ones player, not as a twos player. In this in ones, your one and only goal on defense is to defend the net. Doesn't matter, as long as you have more than 0 boost. If you have even like 6 to 12 boost, your goal is to defend the net. If you have 0 boost, then you want to make a single save and then at least get a pad. But in ones, your goal is to defend the net. And if you want to not get scored on, that's how you have to start approaching it in twos as well. So in this situation, what I'd rather you do is that once you've landed here, just go ahead and take a pause. How you defend this can be done in a couple situations. As your car is right now, you're kind of shadow defending, where you're just kind of facing towards the majority of the open net. I actually like this a lot. Now, as scary as it is, in this situation, you would want to take off ball cam and see where your opponent is. Well, he's nowhere near there. So that means you can not be afraid of a pass for a while. But
Right.
I don't want Undeniable, I want you. But you end up turning towards him, which is fine. But at this position, as scary as it is, I'd actually almost say reverse a little bit, so you're covering the net more than cheating forward.
Yeah.
Now, this is a tough situation, and you are defending the back wall, which is good, because then he can't score easily. But the fact is that since you defended the back wall so much, you left him tons of space to go middle, and if his teammate was actually there for a pass, you guys would have scored.
Yeah.
So, long story short, if you guys want to not get scored on in twos, you need to play a bunch of ones and focus on defending. Because I have at least personally found that if I focus on saving shots and defending, playing defense is easy in this game. Like, just bait in the shot, and 9 out of 10 players are not going to be able to do anything. Especially if you know how to properly shadow defend.
Okay.
Nice clear. I like it. Alright, so
Oh, jeez.
You need to be a little patient in this situation, which I like that you did turn away, but I would have actually turned away, or I would have slowed down before you did, just because I like
I
that.
passed the midline pretty early there.
And at this point, now you're too close to this ball. Because even if he gets a 50-50, you've got plenty of time to get towards this ball and figure out what you need to do. But especially since you continued to cheat closer and closer, you had to turn around and relieve the pressure. Which is fine, you're playing shadow defense and you messed up, so you got the ball, which is what you need. But definitely could have optimized that a little bit. Like it. Solid. Yeah.
That was a pretty nice fake.
So, mechanics-wise, so you had the line, you just you overcorrected too much, you second-guessed yourself too much. So, in this situation, if you're worried about a ball like this, you know you have plenty of times in the like all the time in the world in this situation. So you can go ahead and pause and wait for that ball to get a little bit further up the wall before you go to it, and then you'll be able to read it better. So that is staying basically along the wall and giving you a free touch. Sphere, I like that you went in to support this, because you're ready for the offensive play. He missed. I don't know. If you knew he was slow there, then that turn is okay. But I would prefer that once you see that nothing's happening here, you continue to turn right and just back out and start shadow defending. Because, you know, Undeniable's in front of the ball, he's not going to be able to get a good touch. And you can kind of tell that he's probably going to beat you to the ball. So
Yeah, I think at that point I can tell because
yeah.
he's
So
definitely facing it better.
this is one of those instances where you want to be defensive minded. You want to be defensive minded. You want to go to ones mode. Just shadow him, and as long as you shadow decently, he's not going to be able to do a thing. And hello, newcomer. I don't know who it is at the moment.
Oh, it's Carbon.
Carbon. Hello. So, I'm a little unsure about what's going on here. I can see two ways in which you could have done this better. The first way is if you decide to stick to this wall. So basically what you're saying by staying next to this wall is that you don't trust this guy to get a shot off. Because right now, if he just powers it towards the net, he can probably beat you there. Because at the moment, if you kind of think about what you're doing, you're kind of just defending your own corner. You're not defending the net. The net's over there. So if you're going to defend the net, you need to drive towards the net. So this guy, because you're so far along the wall, he can probably beat you to this pretty easily if he competently goes for a shot and pulls it off well. If you don't trust him, that's fine. He does go to your corner for the most part, and nothing too dangerous comes out of it. But at that point, with your 61 boost, you don't want him to get boost, so you should go for the boost. And pick it up along the way back. So a little bit of spacing issue here. You never really want to be all this close to your teammate, especially since, like... Alright, so I think we might have talked about this prior, but we'll go and do it again. When it comes to plays like this, you want to focus on your angle of attack on the ball, and your goal is to get it downfield. Basically, that's end of story. Your goal is to get it downfield so that you can eventually score, because the goal's in that direction. So, in this situation, you want to set yourself up to at least theoretically have as much power as possible on this ball in case you need to bang it, because you'd much rather go for a bang and then decide to catch it and dribble than decide to catch and dribble and suddenly realize, oh, you have to go for a banger, but suddenly you're heading this direction towards the ball and the only thing you can do is recenter it for the opposing team. So I'll clarify that because that was pretty convoluted. But if you look at your current situation from where you are, let's just pretend you're facing directly at the ball, which you're not, and we'll touch on that later. But if you're directly facing at the ball and you decide you need to go for this, your only option really is to go directly along this path and then basically pinch it or just sidewall hit it. If you kind of look and theorize, if you kind of brain theory this, if you look at it, you're not going to get a ton of power going downfield because you're not hitting it from the right angle. The angle you want to hit it from is this one to hit it downfield, or even better is from here, so you have the entire field to hit it towards, wherever you want to place it. Whereas where you're coming from, if you start to hit this ball, well, when you decide you need to hit it hard, your only real option is to kind of like semi-glancing below it, which is going to hit here and then spill middle. So you didn't make up a ton of ground, and like either the only way to get a ton of power is just going to shoot it directly middle. And so now you're sacrificing power, or you're sacrificing angle, one or the other from this position. Now what's even more unfortunate about it is you're so far forward, the only way to start facing that direction is you have to drive forward and then turn. So you're getting even more in front of the ball. So basically, what I'm trying to say is you want to be somewhere more. So like if I'm facing the ball here, I want to basically be as far left as possible. And I want to be facing the net as much as possible with my car in these situations. So very convoluted way to say that you are pushed too far forward on this ball right now. You could be expecting the pass, but if you're going to do that, kind of didn't trust the pass. So if you did trust the pass, you need to be further away from your teammate. So yeah, there's tons and tons of things I just said right there that aren't all perfectly worded, but I would either give your teammate some more space so that he can make the pass, or if you're going to go for that ball, you want to make sure you have a better angle on it. So when you're about here, your only real option right now is to slam on the brakes and back up so that you get a better angle, because these guys aren't touching this ball very soon. Now you're just kind of in an awkward spot.
Yeah.
Oh, almost that's undeniable. Let's go ahead and take a look at what he could have done to score this. Alright. So he had to get over that player. So looking at this, I'm a little... Yeah, so you're wasting a lot of boost with those two little touches in the middle of the air. You have about 20 after this touch. And then you reduce that down to basically 0 by the time you're on the ground. And all you really did was cover a minuscule amount of distance that was not necessary. And also, if you look at it, like you can just see by your camera settings that you're too far underneath this ball. Like that looks like a tough ball to go for, at least to get a good shot. And you definitely don't have the boost to double touch it here. So conserve your boost a little bit more, especially when you're low. That was a good attempt though. Alright, you need to be retreating out a bit faster than this. Because that casual drive towards the middle of the field, not using any boost, not flipping or anything, is kind of how you get scored on a counter-attack. Because you are not in the area to defend yet. Better boost configuration there. That's solid. So, yeah, so here, if you trust your teammate, then what you need to do is you need to pick up a pad and turn around so that you're in a better position to shoot off the pass. If you read that 50-50 is coming and that sphere can't do much with it, I would seriously just get the heck out of dodge. Like, you don't want to get scored on in this situation. You've both kind of overcommitted. You have one boost. You're going to stand a better chance the further away you go. You're welcome, personage. Alright, so I can see the awkwardness going on right now. You don't know where sphere is. So in this situation, I'm going to tell you right now that what you need to do is you need to trust that your teammate's going to be there. You need to drive away from this ball and rotate in basically back post behind your teammate. The hesitation was not necessarily ideal, but it was alright because I can understand you thinking this guy's going to hit the ball. But at this point, once you've realized, okay, I can't do anything now, so you're okay up to this point. Hesitation isn't ideal, but you're okay. After this touch happens, you need to leave, and I'm worried you're going to go for it. You do. Kind of noticed how unproductive that touch was, and you still have no idea where your teammate is. I just happened to hear sphere to the left, so I have a bit of an idea where he is, but I can just tell you from experience that in this situation, your teammate... I like to use the philosophy that you should trust that your teammate's going to be in the correct position. So, sphere, in order to stop this play, should be basically coming to the right somewhere around that field, which is exactly what he's about to do. He is, at least ideally, in a great position to get a power clear here to relieve pressure off of your team. And that way you can make sure you both have a boost and can continue to play. Instead, you make a semi-useless touch because sphere was ready to go for this ball. All of a sudden, he's not because you've gone for it, and opponents keep possession. So you can mitigate this by saying that you're cutting and that you're going to pass middle, but that is very dangerous right now because you're on your own side of the field, and if you end up making sphere miss, you have suddenly double committed, and you guys are in a really awkward position, and probably going to get scored. So, trust the sphere is going to be ready for this. Sphere, we'll take a look at your pathing in a moment. You might have been able to do a little bit better. But since you weren't ready for that, I like that you turned away. Yeah. Woo. Yeah, so right here, as difficult as it is, you kind of want to just go ahead and defend here, sphere. Because your goal needs to be to defend the net. Either of you could go for this ball, but Undeniable hasn't seen you this entire time, already cut you off. You can probably assume he's going to ball chase, which is basically what happened. You probably could have gotten to that ball at least for 50-50, but there's a fine balance between trusting your teammates and never trusting your teammates. This is the instance where I'd say don't trust your teammate and just expect them to pull chase. There are kind of moments where you can expect one or the other.
I see what you mean.
I would have rather you picked up a couple more pads here. You guys have plenty of space and time, so it looked like you were about to pick up. I guess you did.
I could have taken the longer
this
loop,
one?
had more pads.
Yeah. I mean, for some reason I thought you just drove right past it. Did you? Yes, that one. Okay.
Looked like I missed one, yeah.
Yeah, so that's the one I was, at the very least, pick that one up. So optimize that boost grab. I like that boost grab. Undeniable might not have boost when he's rotating out, but you've relieved a lot of pressure in case of the counter attack.
Since I'm like further back.
So the reason why you've relieved boost on the counter attack is a lot of the times what's going to happen here is Undeniable is going to get beat and you're going to be in an awkward position. So in that instance, your first thought, if Undeniable gets beat and you can't do anything about it, should be to defend the net. So the first thing you should want to do is to defend the net, probably pick this boost path and go right towards the net and shadow defend. So what that would generally mean is if they're on counterattack, they're going to be in front of Undeniable, so they're going to want to pick up this boost during the counterattack. If you have already boost stolen, they cannot replenish their tanks while they're moving downfield. So they're probably going to use a good 50-ish boost getting that play going. And since you boost stolen it, they cannot optimize the play without taking a very smart pathing route.
I see.
So that's not an end of the world type play. Like that's not a huge deal one way or another, but it is kind of something to be aware of. So Undeniable, you need to be a little less aggressive in this situation. Because I can see that you're looking for some kind of pass, but I want you to kind of think about your positioning in this instance. Because you are currently incredibly far upfield. Sphere has already Sphere has already committed to the play in the corner, and you only have 12 boost. So if they start a fast counter attack, you're going to have to hope that they just pick a path where you can pick up pads. Otherwise, you're going to be completely starved on your way back. And you're probably going to need to use all 12 of it just to pick up enough speed so that they don't just straight up drag race you. So in these situations, you need to lead. So the further you drive away from this play, the more pads you can pick up. And then you can come back in and try and continue it. Because like if you look at this, this was almost a pass. And now it is a pass. But you can't do anything because you have no boost. Apparently you still have no boost.
Oh, it was the it was that mid one that I picked up earlier.
So that's what I was saying. You might be denying your teammate of it, but you are also starting the counterattack. If Undeniable had gone for boost pads on his way out instead, then you guys would have been fine here. You would have been completely fine, like no worries at all, if he had picked up boost pads. But since he committed for this boost, it's kind of an issue. So Undeniable, what I want you to think about is that when you were in this play, from here, if you pick up, so I think you already had 12, 24, 36, that's enough for a play. If it goes past the net, you can pick up one here or one here to get to about 50, or if you need to retreat, you can go down the middle or down the oval, and you can have basically 100 boost by the time you get back. If you really want to stay in the play, in twos, what you need to do is you need to pick up pads. That is end of story. Because what you need to be able to do is you need to be as central as possible and basically as far upfield as possible. So picking up the middle boost is good for staying upfield, decent. It's okay for staying upfield, but you're not centralized at all. So the amount of distance from here to the net is much greater than it is from here to the net. And there's not even a boost pad here. So at most you want to be about here by the time you turn, and so you're just cutting off tons of time that you would have taken to pick up the side pad. So if you're going to be aggressive, what you need to start doing is picking up pads. Okay, so what was happening in my head right here as I was going, okay, it's kind of awkward that you've ended up in this corner along with Undeniable Sphere.
Yeah.
So in my head, I was going, okay, why did this happen? How can we fix this? Because what the problem with this is that if you guys end up both committing to this corner, which you end up doing up until he gets demoed, is you're both on counterattack, you're both defending the same position, and one of you doesn't have boost because one of you picked up that boost pad. You guys are on, you're rushing onto defense, so you're both probably low. And so basically what happens is you go from being a two-man team to a one-man team because you're going to want to go for this ball because you have boost. Undeniable could follow the ball, but he doesn't have boost. You're both in the same position. No one's guarding the net. So those are all bad things. And this is kind of like the way to get double committed and the way to get scored on, because generally the person with boost is going to follow the ball. The person that doesn't have boost was trying to clear it. Well, now he's out of position with no boost to get back into net. So in this situation, I can understand why you started to go this direction because of this flip. This flip right here, I can kind of understand why you go for that. Just kind of panic, trying to help your teammate not get totally smashed on counterattack. But in this situation,
I was actually seeing like my Undeniable going towards that mid, so I tried to get it to him, but
okay,
it was
that's
kind of
also fine.
awkward.
I'm that like all of those are fine. But once you land here, if you see that he's got this ball, I want you to turn left instead of right. You continue going
Okay.
straight/right. I'd rather you rotate in behind him. Now, it is scary that Squints over here could potentially boost steal in this corner. He doesn't, so we know that we could have picked up that boost, but he could have potentially done that. However, if he did pick up that big boost, you have 1, 2, 3 potentially small pads, which is more than enough to play defense. And right now, when you guys are on this rushing back to defense stage, that's what you're trying to do. Play defense. 36 is plenty for that. We can worry about the counterattack later. So this is something that it's a slight variation on it, but if you see me play, this is something I do all the time. I'll rotate back on the same side of the ball. I'll probably run over this big boost, and the second I see that Undeniable is hitting it towards this corner, I'll just go, okay, later, and I'll just path this way, pick up a couple pads, and go back post. I do it more than 3s and 2s, but that's mostly because I mostly play 3s, but still very relevant in this situation. The one reason why this was semi-okay was because Undeniable just happened to get demoed there, but that's not something you entirely want to expect. And I also want to point out that because of how this play went right here, you're in an incredibly awkward position. Because if the other guy is also rushing and gets a touch center, you're not defending at this point, and your teammate's demoed, so no one's defending the net. So you have to let that ball pass you, which is a decent fake. But if they call you out, call your bluff, they've once again passed it mid and scored. So, all right, reset. All right, that's fine. Good pads. So I'm just gonna nitpick here. Right here, I don't like this turn very much because you're kind of once
the
again.
little loop.
Sorry.
The loop. That was pretty much useless.
So I mean, the loop itself wasn't terrible, but you're not giving Undeniable enough space to play at this point. You're once again kind of covering the same area, and Undeniable has to turn back, and once again you have to straight up. Instead of you being able to challenge this ball right now in some shape or form, you have to shadow defend because of where you positioned yourself. So shadow defending is not a terrible thing by itself because it's a great way to defend, but you could have potentially maintained pressure. Now you have to defend. If you had just given Undeniable a little more space, you did have the potential to keep up the damage. Alright, that's fine. Just defend. this one's a little tough because I would want to say that you should trust your teammate should be back post by the time something happens here. However, if you really, really want to defend this ball, you should continue to shadow it towards net. So what that means to me is you pick up this pad, which I love that you can steal it if you have that potential, and just wrap around along the sidewall.
Okay.
What this does is it gives you a lot of field view, so that you can see if he's going for a pass, and you can potentially. The only way he can score from this position reliably is probably some kind of pass to himself or a Doomsday dish, which you can. I won't say you can block it with ease, but you can block it from there, and then you have a really good chance to stop a pass if it comes out. In an ideal world, Undeniable has been long back in this situation, and you didn't even need to shadow defend, he would just really be there. Instead, unfortunately, this is what happens. Yeah, so that little turn kind of screwed you right there. He's got control here. He's much closer to the ball than you, and you have 0 boost. I wouldn't turn forward on this. So what you want to do, I'm hoping that boost is there, but since you have 0, you can't really catch up to a fastball. So your really only decent option is to pick up this boost pad and then try and shadow defend. Which basically, like, we can go over shadow defense. That's best learned in 1v1s. But if you want to shadow defend, you kind of have to pick up this boost and then just go right towards this post. And you're just trying to keep a balanced spot where he... It's much... I would recommend Googling shadow defense or YouTubing shadow defense. There are tons and tons of YouTubers, Rocket League YouTubers, that have shown how to do that correctly. Yeah, so, I mean, I can't entirely blame you for it. I can see... Oh, there we go. Alright. The second you pick up this boost, you have to be boosting towards net and flipping. You do neither until you've crossed half the field. Oh my word. There. Now you've started boosting. You've got to play defense. You got to get there fast. Defense is, like... You got to score more than your opponent. It's really hard to do that if you're just letting in easy goals because you don't defend. This is one of those instances. You got to flip, you got to boost to use it. Like, I know conserving boost is a big thing, but I'd rather you be fast and learn to conserve boost later than not know how to properly do either. I'm in that spot of using a lot of boost but not knowing how to conserve it great, by the way. But that could have been an easy save. Not an easy save. That could have been a very, very doable save if you had just boosted back to net. Alright, so on this kickoff, I hate kickoffs, so take my advice on them with a grain of salt, but at least pick up that boost pass. There's no reason not to. Oh, screw that. Solid. I know that there's a timeline down below, but I'm not looking at it. Which is funny, because I knew you guys were going to get scored on, even though I didn't look at it. Alright, late kickoff, Savage. Oh, so close. Alright, let's pick up a boost and leave. No, okay. So, in this situation, it's incredibly awkward, and I understand what's going on in your head. Oh crap, I screwed up. I gotta hit the ball. Wait, let me get boost. Oh, I missed. Crap, I gotta go for the ball. But no matter what you do, that's just gonna happen. It's something like you might as well not even be there. So when it's super awkward in the corner, both defenders are there. Try and get this past middle. Can't do that. Pick up the boost on your rotate out. Otherwise, just leave. Way in front of the ball there. So this is a training pack, or I would. There are tons of training packs that do this, but it's I don't know, man. Freestyling's fun, and if you want to learn how to freestyle, it's literally this, and it becomes very useful in games. So just practice popping the ball to yourself. That's all this was. Just do it more and you'll get better at it. That's basically the answer right there. I like the idea. That was savage. Alright, so right here, you guys are super double committed. Like, it was kind of a semi-natural double commit, so I can kind of understand why it happened. But you want to be aware of that. If you've double committed into the opponent's corner, you're basically asking for a counterattack goal, and neither of you are centered to score the ball if it does spill at middle. So, twos especially, that's where you really don't want to get baited in. Twos are terrifying because half the time you don't even want to pass it in general because you're just going to get counterattacked on because you've double commit. So be aware of that, but especially in those instances where you've double committed. Gotta. Alright, so undeniable overcommitted, but I want to see what happened with you guys.
I definitely thought I could get to that ball faster.
Yeah, okay. So, this is another one of the instances where you just gotta defend.
Yeah.
It's tough, but in twos especially, you want it. I say defensive minded is a word I like to use a lot, and basically what that means is to explain it, it's semi self-explanatory, but to over-explain it, you always want to play defense first, even when you aren't entirely sure about what's going to happen. The reason why I can see that you can't get to this ball is because you have very low boost and you have to turn before you go for it. Turning takes a ton of time, and you can kind of assume in this situation that one of them's already going to be driving towards the ball. So if he doesn't have to turn, it doesn't really matter how much difference in distance there is. You could be much closer to this ball than he is, but he's still going to beat you to it because he doesn't have to turn. So the only way you're going to get to this while turning is to use a crap ton of boost, of which you don't have. So I would try and not be afraid to just pick up pads and retreat here. Like, completely ignore the ball for a moment and just pick up pads on your way back. And just defend the net. Because you end up somewhere around here. There. You could have just gone pad, 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 and then figured out what you wanted to do.
Yeah.
And then in that instance, you wouldn't have had a hard time saving this ball because you probably wasn't going to do anything. So, a little strategy chat for twos that I like. In twos, I find that even up to, I don't know, low GC-ish, what you'll notice is that if you're playing defense, they are just going to lob terrible, terrible shots at you all the time. Those will give you easy clears, easy power clears, and often counterattacks to go along with them. So don't be afraid to just drive towards net, even if you don't think it's the best course of action. Because 9 times out of 10, even though this guy should just catch the ball and dribble it and try and flick you, he's just going to hit it towards the net. And at that point, you're going to have an easy pickup, dribble, and go, or something like that. As I bet you, even if you didn't go for this ball here, this exact same touch is what he was going to make. If you look at that and you were going towards net, oh my gosh, that's an easy save.
Yeah.
So
easy save in possession.
Exactly. And as surprising as it is, if you just play patient, they're just going to pass it to you. I mean, sure, it's kind of scary passes because they're going right towards your net, but if you want to think about it that way, they're basically just passes.
Yeah.
Do you see the Muskie kickoff? The Muskie's kickoff on Twitter by chance?
Oh, I haven't, no.
Alright, I'll try and find a link to that to you, because he basically does that kickoff, but he's gotten it down to a point where he basically fast kickoffs it. But the cool part about that fast kickoff is you can literally score off it. Like, just straight up your first touch will score the ball.
Oh, I do that sometimes from the corners. Not from the straight ups or offside straight ups, though.
Exactly. Alright. So we're going to go ahead and continue net picking this one, and then the next ones we're just going to go speed through.
Okay.
I like the catch. Nice. So I want you to pay. So something. This is more for future reference than for this game. But I want you to kind of notice how, right here, how slow you're going. You didn't really conserve much momentum, and one of the reasons you did that is because you didn't give Undeniable enough space. But in this play, you would have probably been able to do more with this ball if you had a little bit more speed. But because you were so
Which means I
close,
need space further
yes,
back, yeah.
I have found that basically the more you drive away from the play, there's like a nice ratio between how much you drive away from the play and how much speed you can have going towards the play. So
Yeah.
the more time you go, okay, I'm just going to go pick up a pad here, pick up speed, you're just going to end up being a lot faster in your game in general. Now, on top of
Yeah.
that, you've got this guy beat to the ball, and I know you can't score from here, and I think you recognize that too. So flip into it. As you could have
Okay.
reached this ball pretty easily and gotten it around him, you couldn't have scored, most likely. But at the very least, you're hitting it towards their corner and hopefully into Undeniable's possession. Instead, it's just kind of a little dinker, and now Squints has easy possession rather than a difficult, awkward possession.
Yeah.
Yes, I could hear Undeniable, and I knew that was about to happen. Alright, so... I see what happened. Okay. Right there, you have turned away from the play. You have 50 boost. Sphere is boosting. Like, uh, in my head, I would just say, okay, I'm just going to leave now. I do that because I expect my rando teammates in ranked to ball chase really hard when they don't know what to do. So I'm going to go, okay, he's probably going to ball chase this, let's just leave. Now, you guys are in comms, so what I would recommend is that you guys go, one of Undeniable in this situation actually needs to recognize, oh, we're both on top of each other, I need to call this. If he wants to go for it. But in my situation, even if I was in your position, even though I know Sphere well, I would still probably expect him to potentially ball chase here. Which is what happens. Now you're pushed way too far forward, and you guys kind of got lucky you didn't counterattack scored up.
I think the ideal situation, though, was since he was in a position to challenge, I could have turned back after grabbing that boost, right?
Yes. What would have been so basically what screwed Undeniable at this point was that turn. But if you kind of look at it, you would have bumped him if he didn't do that. So once he makes this turn away, he's killing his momentum and taking. Sorry, I need to drink water. What he's doing with this little turn is he's kind of killing a ton of his momentum and taking way longer to get to this ball. So at this point, he doesn't have any speed. He hasn't used any boost to go for it. So in this situation, you can get to this ball just as easily as he can. And that's kind of the reason why people ball chase. Is because, like, if there's a bit of an opening, you can kind of get there faster than your teammate anyway. And if you don't know your teammate, you kind of want to trust yourself more than them. So yeah, just go for it. Like, that's the reason why people ball chase in a nutshell. If they can do it, why don't they do it and just get better themselves or trust themselves more than their teammates? So I can totally see why this happened. But yeah, so you're in comms trying to call that out. That's basically the best solution. Good. So right there, you used boost and you flipped to go onto defense. Now always do that. Okay, don't make that turn though. Alright, so reasons why this is not ideal. You just killed all of your momentum right here, and you're too far upfield on the play. Sphere has to make a very awkward touch in order to pass it to you, and if he does do that, Senior Maverick over here can beat both of you with one. All he has to do is be fast for once in his life, and he has just beat both of you and scored. And I do not like my odds in those situations. Because, yeah. That's why passing in twos is terrifying, because you kind of... I kind of feel like in a lot of cases, passes in twos are done in situations where you already have space, but you want more. That's why you pass in twos. Because if you pass when you don't have a ton of space and you're just trying to score, rather than pass for possession, you run a very, very high risk of just getting counterattacked on continuously. So this is one of those instances where the pass is terrifying. And watching this, I kind of been shocked that they scored, because so when you're going for passes, keep in mind, am I overcommitting if I go for this? And yeah, it's going to take you an extra moment to think about that, but especially if you get practice thinking about that, you'll probably start to realize, oh, I shouldn't be going for half the passes I end up going for. Even if it looks like a juicy pass and you'd always go for it in threes, that's fine, but keep that in threes. In twos, you kind of want to go, take a deep breath and go, maybe this isn't the best idea I've ever had. Maybe I should just leave.
Not ideal. I
think
didn't keep
that
possession
bounce is
there.
unfortunate. I'm just trying to see if there was something that we could have changed about this, but
I mean, I could definitely have waited.
yeah,
Got downed, shadowed.
I mean, this is Rocket League, and sometimes bounces suck. So I don't know, man. Like, I'm not gonna blame you for that. That was fine. That's like one of those things where, like, sure, you can always improve. You can go back and replays, and you can say, "Oh, this was a bad idea," but you also still need to realize, like, people mess up, so you gotta expect mistakes to happen sometimes. Like, it's the nature of the game. So that's one of the situations where I was like, "Oops, all right, move on."
Yeah.
Alright, so I know, so super nitpicky. You've missed the ball and you're still heavy boosting all the way to the net until you hit the backboard. So you're kind of wasting all this. Oh, okay. Right there. You guys are currently being counterattacked on. Sphere has 0 boost, which you can probably expect because he has just attempted a passing play to you. Your first instinct should be, oh crap, oh crap, oh crap, oh crap. I gotta defend the net. Instead of doing that, you decide, oh, I'm gonna go pick up some boost. Now, oh, and once again, you have 0 momentum back to net. So, what could have been a very easy save, potentially a banger of a clear, you have now had to rush, so you could have just used, alright, sorry, what could have been an easy save, and potentially even a power clear, has turned into something you have to rush for to go and save it. I want you to think about the fact, well, if I had just used the boost earlier, I would have gotten back to net faster, been able to counterattack, even if the ball didn't come towards... Sorry, let me rephrase this. If you had used the boost beforehand, you've got the net covered no matter what happens. But the upside about it is you now, even if the ball doesn't come towards net, you are now in a better position to have a counterattack play or start playing with your teammate. Instead, if this ball didn't get shot towards net, you would have not used any boost, which, once again, is okay for boost conservation, but you don't have any speed on the play. So in order to, let's say Sphere just magically came up with possession and started counterattacking on them, you would have had to use the boost then later to catch up to him to properly support him. So basically what I'm saying is use the boost first to get onto defense and then worry about what's going on. Instead, you're conserving boost more than you need to and making tough saves for yourself. I always want... What I've heard from Carbon is if you're going back onto defense, you always want to be supersonic. End of story. Doesn't matter what's going on. If you're going towards net, be supersonic. Like, if you're that spaced out and don't have any boost, just flip the entire way. Just keep flipping.
Just wave dash chain your way back.
Yes, Sphere, you can do that. The rest of us are normal human beings and can't do that consistently.
I can't either. I would. At least not consistently.
Okay. Boom, clear, hit it again. Okay. Alright. So, I can kind of see you're going for a pass in this situation, but I want you to pay attention to how far away from any kind of play you are going right now. You finally decide to turn for it, but oh man, you are already basically on the opponent's backboard by the time anything happens. Like, you're not going to do anything productive from here. You're past Maverick. Like, almost no matter what happens, Maverick's going to hit this first because of your positioning. So basically what I'm saying is I noticed as soon as you landed that you just kept going forward. I would rather you paused for a moment, like right here, just tap the brakes, figure out what's going on, or go and, if you're going to pick up boost, that's fine, just go all the way for the boost. Or what I would probably say is, actually the ideal course of action here is pick up some pads and go middle, like just straight dead middle in the field. You'd be a much better chance of supporting the play, and if you look at it, that's basically exactly where Sphere put it. Because that's where you can kind of expect the ball to go in that situation. So this one, you're being a little too defensive, Sphere. Maverick can't get this ball for a while, and sure, I mean, yeah, undeniably I got a kill, so now you're in a great offensive position, but you are now facing away from the ball, and it's going to take you boost and or time, most likely both, to get to the ball now when you have a good counterattack, or potentially a good counterattack. That shouldn't have been Undeniable's ball, but he took it because you were so far away.
Yeah.
So what you need to do is you need to claim it by keeping your position and call it if you're worried he's going to take it. Now, how could we have done this a little bit better so we would have claimed it with our positioning just from the beginning? Right here, I can understand why you're trying to kind of back off in this situation, because Maverick does potentially have a good clear over you. However, he's not going to get to it for a while. There is no immediate danger in this play. So this is one of the instances where I'd kind of call it a boost steal, but it's not, because you have 77 boost, so you don't need the boost, but you might as well just go and kind of steal it, because you don't really know what's going to happen. You want to keep your momentum. You don't want to push too far forward, and like we just saw, you don't want to go too far away from the play. So you might as well just go towards the wall. Good place to go towards the wall? Well, you know, might as well pick up that boost pad.
And especially since I was expecting Maverick to get that afterwards and clear it towards my side, definitely grabbing that boost would have denied it to him, right?
Yes, that is also correct. Now, what I'll also point out is if he had kept control here, he could have very easily just shadow defended from this mid boost position. When, at least my most recent round of learning how to shadow defend, I got in the habit of, like, let's say the opponent had the ball in the corner. I legitimately would just park my butt right on top of this boost pad until he got close enough for me to shadow defend. So, like, let's just say he took an hour and a half up there at that corner somehow and was just, like, air dribbling with infinite boost. I wouldn't give a crap. I would be sitting on this boost pad until, like, if he was ground dribbling, I'd wait until he gets about here, I'd say, before I'd go. If he's in the air, I'd wait until he starts his air dribble or hits it hard, and then I'd go towards net. And from that point, all you do is you just drive from here all the way over to here. And that's about it. I mean, you use a little bit of boost so he doesn't get too far ahead of you, but easy game, easy life if you defend like a one player. Alright. And days.
Could have placed it better. It was an awkward approach, I'd say. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's by pathing.
Okay, I see. All right, that bounce sucked. So I can see what happened. You're right. It is your pathing. In an ideal world, you wouldn't have boosted quite that early, but this bounce sucked. So I can totally get what happened. You actually did pretty well, all things considered, because I'm like, I now have an eye where I can notice these kind of things where I'm like, oh yeah, your approach is off, but I want to see why now. Well, if you look at this ball, that right there looks to me like it should hit the sidewall to your right, like somewhere over there. Instead, it's just like, you know what? Screw physics. Let's just go middle instead. So, yeah, I mean, at least in my head, that's what's going on. So I can see where the misread came in. I totally understand. But, anyway, just wanted to go ahead and say. Good. So that Very good. So right here, based on what I've seen from Undeniable, I have a feeling Undeniable will have paused right here. Instead, you just say, nope, I'm going to flip away from the ball. I'm going to give responsibility of the play over to my teammate, who I'm going to assume is in a good position. In this case, he's in a decent position. And I'm going to find myself some boost pads so I can continue the play later. Very good. That is what I want to see Undeniable doing more. And in this instance, if they still have possession and it goes over Undeniable, you're in a great position to make one more flip, get supersonic, pick up pads, whatever you need to do. You're in a great position now.
Okay. Well, that's a wasted opportunity.
Uh-huh. So I'd say right here is the instance where you'd want to just go straight middle instead of going behind him. Once again, you're kind of covering the same area in this situation, and I don't think all that often he's going to end up having this play happen where it goes right to you on the side, middle side wall.
Yeah.
So you would have much rather been middle. You would have had a much better. Oh, that's a bummer.
Yeah.
That sucks. Good. So, now I wouldn't normally expect Undeniable to be this slow on the ball. So normally I'd say you want to be turning around for this much sooner to be middle. What you can kind of think about is that neither of them are in a great position for a super powerful clear, and Undeniable has clear possession of the ball, which means that you should be okay being a little bit more offensive than is truly comfortable.
Okay.
Something I learned recently, I can't remember if I was watching Squishy Muffins or Justin, but when I saw their play style, and no, it was definitely Justin. It was definitely Justin. Basically, what I saw from Justin's play was basically him saying, you know what, screw my opponents. I don't trust these guys at all. So he was like, Justin's a whack job when he plays sometimes, I've learned. And he was like just flip stalling in the middle of the field because he's like, in a situation like this, he knows that there's like a 0.5% chance that they're going to power clear it straight into his net. So he'd rather just wait for them to get a weak clear and clearing it up later. And that's at the highest level of GC. He doesn't trust them to make the shot. Which is why, if you have a little bit of defensive mind, you can be almost anywhere on the field and just like make them outplay themselves. So sure, if they're ready for a perfect power clear and Undeniable has already lost possession, yeah, you kind of want to be defensive. But in this situation, he's got the clear touch, and you guys need to score, at least eventually. So this would be a great time to be a little over aggressive and not trust your teammates, or not trust your teammates, not respect your opponents as you go for this passing play. However, because he takes forever to do this, you actually end up in a great position. So this is where I'd want you to be when he was rushing in for the touch. Assuming so, but knows how much longer it took you to get here. I like the idea. It was decent. But you could have been ready for a fast play instead you had to have a slow play come out. Otherwise you couldn't do anything. This is good shadowing. The only thing about it is you don't always want to shadow when your teammate's covering the same area. It's generally more effective to trust your teammate to get a 50-50, and then you come in from back post with speed and clean up the play. Whereas if you're by yourself, that's when you want to take a shadow defense route like this.
That makes sense.
So this is one of those situations. So this one's a little weird because Undeniable's being very slow about it. But this is one of those situations where I'd see this play, and I'd go, okay, I'm going to leave. And I'd go back post. As this play would develop, I'd end up over here. This happens. I'd rush in, hope Undeniable doesn't touch the ball, and I'd have a free touch. I'd hit it against the sidewall, and I'd probably beat Maverick because he's not in a great position. So that's kind of how you can theory craft how that could have gone. Instead, you don't have a ton of momentum, and you just kind of bump him because, yeah, that should have been your ball at that point, but you don't have any momentum to do anything with it, so it became awkward. What's up, Undeniable?
Wait a minute, that's not Undeniable.
Oh, Imperial.
Oh, it's Imperial.
For some reason, those words are similar to me at the moment.
Oh, hi. Sorry.
Hi. So,
I didn't mean to do that.
No, you're chilling. So, basically, similar position. Here,
Oh,
just rush the
no.
ball. This is where you just got to go, teammate, get the hell out of my way. I'm just going to hit this. Because I don't really care what he
Okay.
does. As long as you get a good 50-50 on this, you basically just treat him like an opponent. If you 50-50 this, you're going to pinch it off the side wall, off the wall to the left, and none of them are going to be able to touch it. So that's why in this situation, I would just come careening in and hit the ball anyway. And you could have done this here. Instead, you went passive, and things got more awkward than they already were. And you guys should have gotten scored on.
Yep. I certainly wasn't trying to bump him there, but my
So
turn
here,
radius.
in this instance, if you're not going to rush, you need to just sit in net, like, not even here,
Yeah.
like, back here, facing the play. I mean, ideally, I'd actually say you'd be here-ish, but, you know. Yeah. So I believe the most ideal situation in this is if you had driven away from the ball, got a better turn on it with speed, and then just came careening in and took this away from Undeniable. Because you just treat it like a normal 50-50. He's an opponent at this point. And you can out 50-50 an opponent, so might as well out 50-50 your teammate. Undeniable, it's a fine, just to clarify, Undeniable, like, it's kind of an awkward situation, because like I said, you're going really slow here. But I'm fine with your idea. Like, up to the wall to flick it off to hopefully get efficiency here. Just to clarify. I like the idea.
Well, that was the doink attempt. He called it.
Yep. Alright, so looking at this, so you clearly have a free touch here. Maverick's just 50-50, so he's not going for the play. Squints is currently on his own back wall for some strange reason, which means he's not getting to the ball anytime soon. So, what I want you to do normally is recognize that and go, okay, I'm going to calm down. Sphere's just committed to the play, so I'm probably just going to pick this up, dribble it, and then figure out where we go from there. However, I don't have any huge issues with you aerialing for this. It's just how you went about the aerial that I don't like. You jump from here. You're not going to be able to score from that angle. What I would have rather seen you do is driven past the ball this way, is going to the left, so we're going to go past it to the left, so we can then cut back towards it and actually shoot it towards net. Because we came at it basically at this angle, that's very difficult to shoot and score from. We'd much rather come at it from this angle so that we can go up to it and then shoot it towards net. What you would have also noticed if you had tried to do that, which would have been the better route, is you would have probably noticed, oh, I can't even really aerial for this in time, so why don't I just ground half volley it instead and just hit a banger of a shot from half court, which would have been amazing if we could have done that. Now, once again, we could have still done this better with the touch we tried to get. If you had aerialed for it slightly differently, I would have preferred in this situation. So you go right here, you went to the left in order to try and hit it right, which makes sense. You kind of have to hit it on the left side of the ball for it to go to the right side. I get that, but at this point, you should probably recognize you can't score from here. So what I would rather you do is get it as close. You want to make it as awkward for them as possible. So what that means is you don't want it to go very much middle. You'd rather keep it towards the side wall or the back wall. So to me, what I would rather see you do is aim towards this part of the wall, because it bounces here, bounces one more time, or bounces here off the corner, and then one more time here, and that's going to be really awkward for Squints to clear. Instead, if we look at it from Squint's view, it bounces off the side wall. All he has to do is be patient, and he gets a pretty. Well, he could have gotten a much better clear, but he still gets a good clear because you didn't have an ideal hit. This corner wall is better than the back wall, but neither of them are ideal. I'd rather you hit it off of the side wall in this situation. Sphere, it's a good time to play aggressive right here, but you need to trust yourself more. Because I'm finding that, so going off of our past experiences playing together, I'm finding that you start to play aggressively in a way that, sure, it might be dangerous, but it will keep up possession and maybe even get you a goal if you do it correctly. And instead of doing it, you second guess yourself and you start to go defensive and you end up in an awkward spot. So this is where the thing I was mentioning about Justin comes in. Justin didn't trust his opponents to basically do anything well. In that situation, he would have probably trusted the opponent to not get a great clear. So what he would have done is he would have started off like you did. He would have started off this direction. And when he turned in, he might have hit the brakes, but he would have continued going this direction, expecting him to get a bad clear. He does. Maverick is not ready for anything. You could have had not an easy shot. You could have had one defender in net with probably the best angle you're going to get. Instead, you basically chicken out. Do you see where I'm coming from with that?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So, something I want you to work on is, there's two ways you can put it. Either being more aggressive or not trusting your opponents. Expect them to make mistakes, and then if they don't, 9 times out of 10, they're not actually going to score it from here. So all you have to do is shadow defend and clean up whatever ends up happening. So sure, you got to be that's why it's such a hard. I say play defensive minded, but there is a very difficult but fine line of balance between that. When you're truly on defense and they have full possession, you've got to be defensive minded. If you're worried about what your teammate's doing, if you just need to hold on to your score, you got to be defensive minded. But if you really want to score, you want to put pressure on the other team, you want to do this and this and that, be aggressive. Get in their face. Don't trust them to make the right play. Expect them to make, I wouldn't say make mistakes, but make non-ideal plays and clean up after them.
Okay.
That's a decent area. Alright, so here, there is one player on defense, undeniable, could get a 50-50, have it go middle, and the opposing team's second player is nowhere to be seen. So what we want to do is we want to rush mid in this situation in the hope that a favorable 50-50 comes out our way. So normally, or in most situations, I'd say be defensive minded, and I'm going to expect you to flip left right now and rotate in kind of behind undeniable. That's what I'm expecting you to do. We'll see what happens, but that's what I'm expecting you to do. What I want you to do in this situation is flip towards undeniable and be ready to turn and score this. Good. That's basically what you want to be doing. Ooh, no, don't do that. Oh, that's unfortunate. Alright. Undeniable, you gotta trust that your teammate's going to be there. I like the back pass idea, but you kind of notice, like, Sphere was in a great position for where this ball was, and now the fact that he has to figure out where you're going to hit it has gotten him scared. And so now he doesn't know what to do. Not a terrible idea, just the moment of execution was not possible. Alright. Oh, what a bully. Oh, what a bully. He's mad loud. So savage. Alright, let's go.